Think of a website you used constantly as a kid. Got it? Now try to find it again. If you can't, don't assume your memory is wrong, because somewhere online, right now, thousands of people are searching for a website that every server, every archive, and every record says never existed. This isn't the Mandela effect. Not exactly. The Mandela effect is about details, a logo, a spelling, a monocle that was never there. This is bigger. This is entire platforms, entire login screens, entire communities of people who remember using something that, according to every trace the internet has ever kept of itself, was never built. Not misremembered slightly, not close, but wrong. Never built at all. Some call it the phantom server phenomenon. And once you start looking, it doesn't stop at one website. It spreads through gaming forums, through old chat clients, through apps that supposedly ran on phones that couldn't have supported them. The stranger part isn't that people misremember. People misremember all the time. The stranger part is how many of them misremember the exact same thing in the exact same way without ever having spoken to each other. Case 1. In 2019, a woman posted in a nostalgia forum asking where she could still download an app called Nichern. She remembered the icon, a small blue bird, but not Twitter's. She remembered the login screen, a specific shade of navy, and a loading animation shaped like a spinning coin. Within an hour, dozens of replies came in, not from bots, not from trolls, from strangers who said the same thing. They remembered it too. One user described the exact sound effect the app made on login. Another remembered messaging a friend on it in 2011 and even remembered the friend's username. A third claimed to still have a screenshot, until she went looking for it and found her camera roll from that year completely empty where the file should have been. A fourth user, in a separate thread months later who hadn't seen the original post, described the exact same loading animation, unprompted, down to the color of the spinning coin. Nichern has never appeared in any web archive. Not one server log, not one line of code on GitHub, not one mention in any tech journalist coverage of that era, and tech journalists covered everything back then. The App Store has no record it ever existed, active or discontinued. It is, by every available piece of evidence, a website and an app that 4,000 people now insist they used, and that has never once left a digital footprint. And it gets weirder. Case 2. This one isn't a forum post. This one is a domain. A user on a web archaeology subreddit found a domain registration from 2003 for a site called Latchkey Radio. The registration was real. It still logged in Hoy's records. The domain existed. It was paid for, renewed, paid for again. But when researchers used the Wayback Machine to pull up any cached version of the site, every single snapshot came back blank. Not missing, not a 404, blank. A pure white page, saved and archived, over and over, for 6 years. Except people remember content on it. Dozens of accounts, unconnected to each other, describe a message board with a specific dark red color scheme, a countdown timer in the corner that never seemed to reach zero, and a rule pinned at the top that said simply, "Don't ask what happens after." Some remember a chat function in the bottom corner that only ever had one other user online, no matter what time you checked. Nobody could say who that user was. Nobody remembers them ever posting. Nobody who claims to remember the site can produce a single saved file. Not a screenshot. Not a forum post copied elsewhere. Not one migrated thread on a different platform, which is unusual, because when real forums shut down, fragments of them almost always survive somewhere else. Quoted in a reply, pasted into a blog post, screenshotted for a meme. Latchkey Radio left nothing. Just a domain that existed, paying rent to nobody. Hosting a page the Wayback Machine insists was always empty. And here's where it actually gets disturbing. Case 3. Shorter, simpler, worse. In 2021, a Discord server dedicated to lost media started compiling every account of these phantom sites in one place. Someone suggested cross-referencing the exact dates people claimed to have used them. When they did, they found something nobody expected. 3 completely unrelated phantom websites, described by different people in different countries who had never spoken to each other, all reportedly went offline on the same night. October 14th, 2011. One of the 3 sites, a supposed early messaging app called Ferris, had its own small cluster of witnesses who'd never seen the Nichern or Latchkey radio threads. They described their own login screen, their own color scheme. And when asked to pin down when it stopped working, three separate people independently landed on the same week in October without being told the date anyone else had guessed. No incident that night explains it. No mass server outage. No cyber attack. No news event. Just three login screens that, according to thousands of separate memories, simply stopped loading. And three domains that today show no trace of activity from before that date at all. Case 4. This is the one that made researchers actually start taking the pattern seriously. A psychology grad student, not a hobbyist, ran a small informal study in 2022. She posted a fake screenshot online, a login page for a site she invented from scratch called Portway. No such site had ever existed. It was built in an afternoon using a template. Within a week, without any prompting, three separate people commented that they remembered using Portway as teenagers. One even described a specific feature the fake screenshot didn't show at all. A friends list sorted by last seen online, a detail she'd invented herself, in her own head, filling a gap the image left open. That's not proof the earlier cases are fake. But it is proof of something almost as unsettling, that a memory of an entire website, login screen, features, friends, a specific year, can be built from nothing by a brain that has no idea it's building anything. Which means somewhere between the real phantom server cases and the fabricated ones, there is no reliable way to tell which is which from the inside. And that's the part that should actually bother you. It isn't that some of these websites might be fake memories, it's that fake and real memories feel identical from where you're standing. There's no warning label, no glitch in the feeling of remembering. The confidence you have in Nichern, in Latchkey Radio, in whatever website you're already thinking of right now, that confidence is exactly the same whether the memory is accurate or completely invented. Your brain doesn't grade its own work, so what's the official explanation? It's the same one that explains the Mandela effect. Human memory isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction, rebuilt slightly differently every time you access it, blended with things you've seen since, filled in with details that feel true, because your brain prefers a complete memory over an accurate one. Confabulation, memory researchers call it. It's not lying. The brain genuinely believes the memory it's inventing. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus proved this decades ago with a study that should unsettle you more than it usually does. She showed people a real childhood photo alongside a completely fabricated story about getting lost in a mall as a kid, something that never happened to them. Within a single conversation, a quarter of participants didn't just accept the fake memory, they elaborated on it. They added details Loftus never gave them. A worried look on a stranger's face, the exact aisle they wandered into. None of it real, all of it, to them, remembered. And once one person describes a detail, a color, a sound, a rule pinned to the top of a board, other people's brains quietly borrow it until a memory that started as a guess starts to feel like it was always there. That explains why strangers agree on details. It does not explain the Latchkey Radio domain. It does not explain why the Wayback Machine has snapshots of a page that thousands of people insist had content on it. Confabulation invents memories. It doesn't register a domain, pay for hosting, and archive itself as blank for 6 straight years. So maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe some of these sites did exist, briefly, and were scrubbed, deliberately wiped by whoever ran them, for reasons we'll never know, leaving only the domain registration behind because that's the one record nobody thought to delete. That would explain the blank archive. It wouldn't explain why the memories are so specific. It wouldn't explain October 14th. Here's the part nobody wants to sit with. If confabulation is real, and it is, then some of what you remember using as a kid, right now, today, might not have existed the way you remember it either. Not the whole site. Just one detail. One color that was never really there. One feature your brain quietly added because the memory felt incomplete without it. You have no way of checking. Most of what you used online before 2015 has no surviving trace at all. No backups. No mirrors. No screenshots anyone thought to take of something that felt too ordinary to preserve. If your memory quietly rewrote one piece of it, there is no archive left to correct you. And there never will be. The evidence that could prove you wrong was deleted before anyone knew it mattered, if it was ever there to begin with. So the next time you go looking for something you swear you used to use, and you can't find it anywhere, ask yourself which is actually more likely, that the internet forgot something real, or that you remember something the internet never had. Both possibilities should bother you. Only one of them is comfortable to believe, and only one of them means you can trust anything you remember from before you had a way to check it. If you've ever searched for a website like this and come up with nothing, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments below. Someone might remember it too.